What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the podcast. Today we got a special guest, Addam Duncan. Adam, how you doing, man?
Doing all right, man.
Good. Thanks for coming on. Good to see you. So I actually met you through tattooing. One of my friends, I asked for if he had recommendations for tattoo, and he sung your praises, and that's how I wound up meeting you. But here recently, you've become a real estate agent.
Yeah, it's a little different, right?
Yeah. Let's talk about what kind of got you into that real estate world.
You know, it was a lot. It's kind of funny. So, I've been tattooing for now I've been tattooing for 25 years. June 1st was 25 years.
Yeah.
And, I've had a lot of like neck and hand problems, C5, C6. And I was, really struggling. I had a couple of times where I had to quit tattooing for a few months. And I was at my dad's house, and my dad retired in 2020. And we were watching this episode of Andy Griffith where Barney Fife becomes a realtor.
Yeah.
Like it's like ridiculous. But and it's just like he's like you make the money by like selling the house, and then he was trying to move all these people around. It was just ridiculous. And my dad's laughing, and he's like, Adam, you're good with talking with people. You should sell houses. And I was like, it's kind of out of the blue,
Yeah.
like okay. So I guess in like a weird way, it was like maybe to like I don't know, like impress my dad or something.
Make him proud.
Yeah, like make my dad proud at 40, 42, 43 years old. And so I did these online classes late at night because I was still tattooing a lot during COVID because people were getting the stimulus checks and everything, and I was tattooing like crazy, so I was doing these classes at nighttime online, and I got my license, and I went to a few places and a few brokerages. I didn't really want to go to a lot. I wanted to go to like 3, and I found a place that I really love. I've really found a lot of not what I was looking for, better than what I was looking for.
Yeah.
And what's funny is I went back and I told my dad, I was like, well, I got my real estate license and I got a job. And he's like, why did you get a real estate license? I was like, you told me like I'd be good at selling houses. And he's like, I don't think I ever said that.
He didn't even remember the conversation.
It's so funny.
So what was it that you were looking for in a brokerage when you were searching on your job hunt?
From the get-go, I was looking for people that, I went to one brokerage, and I'm not, obviously going to name any names or anything like that. I went to one brokerage, and it was super, I hate to say this, but it was super fake. It was very
Fluff.
Yeah, it was. You could tell like I was nothing but a number. I mean, even from like the first interview, and then I went to another brokerage in town, and the person was like, we pay the best, and I was like, what I was looking for was training.
Yeah,
that's what I was looking for.
Yeah,
I didn't have any idea. I've been tattooing for 25 years. I paint. I do a lot of different things. I'm pretty good at learning, and I like to learn. That's the biggest thing about me is most people that know me know I'm always trying to learn something. And so I was looking for training. And the first place I went was very like I knew it wasn't a good fit.
Yeah.
And so the second place I went to, the guy told me, we have the best cut in town, you'll make more money here. And I was like, do you guys do any training? He's like, no, you have to take care of all that stuff yourself. And I was like, well, I mean, like 90% of zero is still zero.
Yeah.
And I wasn't rude to him or anything.
Yeah.
I was just like, okay, he was very, whatever.
Yeah.
So actually the day I talked to both of those places before I got my license, and then I took my license at PSI, which is right around the corner from Reedville Road in Spartanburg, and I stopped in Keller Williams, and I met this guy Del Cliff, and I talked to him a little bit, and I don't really remember the conversation, at all. But it was, so I went in there, I started July 11th. So I went in there like the beginning of July, probably 2 years from like right now, you know, like seriously, like the 1st of July. And, you know, when I was on July 4th weekend, I got an email from Dell that was like, hey, I hope you have a good July 4th. And this is me not knowing anything about touch systems or anything like that. I never tried to touch nobody, you know. like,
I'm innocent.
yeah. But he was like, I hope you have a good 4th. And I was like, this made me feel good. You know? Like I was like, really kind of
just met this guy.
Yeah, I just met this guy and he's hoping to have a good 4th. So I went back up there and I was like, hey man, like I want a job, you know? And they were like, okay, you're hired. You know, like I was like, I didn't really understand how real estate worked. I didn't really understand that the brokerage is going to make money off me. You know, I didn't understand buyer agent versus listing agent. I just knew sell houses. You know, like seriously. You know, like there's a lady that lives in my wife's parents' neighborhood, and she does pretty well for herself. Her name's Michelle Mannion, and she works in the office I was in. And what's funny is my goal was to go to Keller Williams, because Chapin, my wife, had told me, her mom had told me that, well, Michelle and Joe have their own thing now. They were at Keller Williams, but they have their own thing now. Well, my goal was to go to Keller Williams, get enough training to where I knew what I was doing, get good enough, and then go work for Michelle Mannion. Yeah. And Michelle Mannion was already there. She was at the office that I work in when I got there, and I was like, that's kind of super odd, you know, like it's kind of like pieces just kind of fell into place. You know? You know, I'm kind of a believer in like that if things fall into place, like kind of like not ironically, but almost like
it was meant to be.
Yeah, like a synchronicity thing. Like it's like this thing happens, then this thing happens, then this thing happens. You know, to me, it doesn't really matter what you're doing as long as you have sincerity. You know. Yeah. Like if you have sincerity in what you, because, you know, I do a lot of different things, but I try to just be sincere in what I do, you know, and I've got a pretty good life because of it, you know. Like I'm really grateful, you know. Yeah. Like from what I came from, you know.
Off air, we were kind of talking, and you know, most agents, they usually struggle the first year, but you were telling me you closed 17 your first year?
I closed 16, but right when I got into it, me and my wife bought a house. We were not married yet. Yeah. I've never been married. I'm freshly married. That's a whole new thing.
Congratulations.
It's great. It really, I really do love it. You know, like, it's a different mindset.
For sure. Now it's us instead of me.
Yeah, honestly, in all fairness, I try to make it her. Yeah. Instead of us. You know, like if my number one goal in life is to make her happy, then I'm happy. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I get so much by giving, you know.
Absolutely. So you closed 17 your first year, or 16 your first year. How were you able to do that in your first year? Like, what do you think sets you apart to where, you know, a lot of agents, they start up their first year, they maybe sell 2 or 3, you know, but you were able to sell 16 your first year.
You know, in a way, I think it was kind of, you know, beginner's luck, you know, like, because I mean, honestly, I feel, you know, in all, like, I guess humility, like, I don't know that I'm not a big shot in this business. I'm like a new guy. You know? And so when I showed up, you know, I come from tattooing where people pay me to advertise on them. Mm-hmm. Like they give me money, I tattoo them, and they go show their friends and they tell them how good it is, and then they come to me. I've never advertised once in tattoo. Yeah. The guy that taught me to tattoo said never advertise. A number one rule is like, if you see a tattoo shop advertising, that's usually not a great sign. Yeah. So then I got into this business where they're like, lead gen. And I had just gotten out of real estate school, and I was like, I thought we were doing like littoral rights, you know, like I thought, where's the deed stamps, you know, like I'd learned all this stuff, and they were like, no, real estate's about talking to people, and I was like, I could probably do that,
Yeah.
But a lot of the stuff I learned in real estate school, like property management stuff, I've never, it's hard to remember now,
Because you don't utilize it.
No, not one bit,
Do you have some, what are some of your favorite clients to work with? And what I mean by is like, is it first time home buyers, relocations, second houses,
I can't really pinpoint it down. I really like it all,
Yeah.
I really do. I really, and I don't know if it's just that I've done the same thing for 25 years. I started tattooing when I was 19 years old. I'm 44 now. I just hit my 25th year, and I'm still tattooing like private studio, and I'm kind of juggling it. But I think the newness, like that it's like a new adventure, kind of makes me enjoy it all. Most people are pretty pleasant. Like I think most people are inherently good. You know. I mean, I really do, and I have a belief that like you kind of get what you give. Like I'm a pretty easy guy to be around. I think like
For sure.
Like I'm not contrary to like my wife's belief. I'm not like my biggest fan. I'm not my biggest fan.
Yeah.
Like I don't like the sound of my voice. I don't really.
I hate hearing myself talk.
Yeah. I feel kind of inferior a lot of times, and I've learned over time that that's just like imposter syndrome and whatnot, and that's your head telling you things that aren't true, and that lie we tell ourselves, and sometimes I don't know my place here,
Yeah. I think it's really cool that, every time I see you have a closing, you kind of take your artistic ability and show appreciation to your client by painting them a certain picture. Do those pictures have meanings behind them? Like, is it something that you've gathered through them or something you were feeling during that transaction? And like, that's kind of how you paint that picture or create that idea?
Yeah, not exactly. I do paint a lot of water.
Yeah.
I think water is very important in my life. I love water. I like how fluid water is, and not to get all like woo woo on like a real estate podcast, but like I think very artistically, like that's just, my brain, ever since I was a little kid and saw my first John Singer Sargent painting, I was watching Bob Ross, at a very, very early age. I don't even know how, it was in the 80s, and then I saw John Singer Sargent and Winslow Homer, the painting that I actually saw first was Winslow Homer, and it was a seascape painting. And I've always really loved water. I love the qualities of water. I really think about water a lot. I think about how it seeks to be level. I think about how it's colorful but transparent, how you got to have it to live.
Yeah.
But it can kill you. There's a lot of like juxtaposition with water. And I know that's like maybe a little out in left field, but that's just the way my artistic brain thinks.
Yeah.
So I paint a lot of water. Water is also something that makes a pretty painting.
Yeah.
So it's something that people like that's pretty. I also paint a lot of paintings that are not pretty. Like they're more conceptual and surrealistic and stuff like that. So I try to. I don't really try to give people weird paintings.
Yeah.
At the closest. I try to give them things they can hang in their house. Now there is an end goal. I do give them the paintings because I feel like you only keep what you have by giving it away.
Yeah.
I really do. I believe I have enough faith in that's happened for me. But people don't usually move paintings. So when they hang a painting in their house, if they're buying a house or if they're moving to a new house, they're usually not going to move it. So if they move in 7 to 10 years, like statistics say, then there's my business card.
Yeah.
I don't need a magnet with my
with a headshot.
Yeah, I guess the thing is like when I got in and they were talking about lead generation and all this stuff, and I got into and by the way, Keller Williams in Spartanburg and Greenville, like the company that I work for, you know, when they brought me in, it was completely and totally different than I ever expected. Like, I thought I was going to be coming in and working a corporate job, like
Suit and tie.
yeah. Well, I mean, I didn't even mind that because I've been so, like, I dress down to tattoo that I kind of like dressing up.
Yeah.
You know, like, I know a lot of people are like, we're blue jean realtors, and I like to wear a tie.
Yeah.
You know, because it's different for me. You know, like, it's just, you know, like, there's enough for everybody to take. You know, but when I showed up at Keller Williams, there were so many people that were so helpful. You know, and like, sincerity. You know, in their help, you know, like I felt like they honestly wanted to see me succeed, you know, and they were like, you know, I really don't know how to word it. They gave me this like true nature of like, we want to see you succeed because we're not worried about you succeeding and us not succeeding. We're wanting to see you succeed and we succeed more and everybody succeeds more because, like, you know,
That's how you win.
yeah, like what is it? What do they say?
Rising tide.
Yeah, it brings up all the ships or whatever.
Yeah.
I can't remember all this stuff
Yeah.
because I'm new to the corporate world. I'm new to the systems and models and you know all this stuff, and I'm like, you know,
What do you think's been the biggest transition between going from tattooing for 25 years to being a real estate agent?
100% the people.
Yeah.
The people. Not the people are all completely different, the amount of people. So when it's tattooing, people hit me up on my phone or my email or whatever, and they say, I want to get a skull or snake done. And I'm like, cool, right on. So we schedule you for the 24th. And they come in, I draw that tattoo, I sit there with them, I tattoo them, I talk to them, they pay me, I leave.
It's all in your control.
They leave, then I leave.
Yeah.
Everything is in my control. So with real estate, it's a very different thing. So like you got the lender first, you know, usually, you know, when you got a buyer, you know, you got, I mean, you got the brokerage, you know, you got the
Home inspection.
the home inspections, you got the movers, you got the appraisers, you got, you know, like,
Any repairs that need to be done that brings
Yeah.
in plumbers and electricians.
yeah, you got the TCs, you got the marketing coordinators, you got all these people and all these moving parts where I have to kind of know my place because, like, I'm not really a big control issue person.
Yeah.
And real estate's a good place to not be. Now, I'm not saying you don't show up and do the work. I'm saying you kind of know what your place is. Like, if something's not working out on a, you know, government loan or whatever, like, I mean, I'm not going to change their mind. You know? Like, so.
How do you navigate when like something's like, for instance, if it's something that's not to do with your side of the real estate transaction, like maybe it's a lending problem, how do you deal with, you know, I could see that frustration from the client side. How do you deal with those kind of situations?
You know, that's tough. You know, I'm a firm believer in what's supposed to happen is going to happen. you
Yeah.
know? Like, and if something doesn't happen, there's probably something better around the corner. And I have a lot of clients that think like that too. But I have some clients that don't. You know, I have some clients that really try to control things. You know, and I think the biggest issue is not even with the control and the lending and stuff like that. It's more so like, so I think if somebody's not in the market to buy a house or to sell a house, then we're waiting because of whatever. We're waiting mostly because of interest rates right now, right? Because everybody's like, oh, the interest rates are about to come down because they've been promising us the interest rates are coming down. And I invest and I do economic stuff and I understand a little bit about the bond market and the yield curves and stuff, and like that, like no one person is going to come in and go like, hey, interest rates, you know, like it's not really like that. You know what I mean? And like, it's a whole like ecosystem that is kind of a perfect storm for interest rates to slowly go down over a period of time. Then they're going to come back up. But I also know that like in history, like, you know, people live a couple years back, you know, so they get used to 2% and 3% interest rates in the 2018, 2019, and they say 7%, that's crazy. But my dad, when they bought his first house, it was 18% interest rate in 1980.
That's crazy.
So if you look at the overall span of interest rates, from like 2 to like 20, like interest rates are below the middle right now. They're not really astronomical, but the media is what, portrays that, and that's what people hear, and that's what people believe. And I'm not advocating for interest rates. I'm not saying they don't suck. I mean, interest rates, nobody wants to pay rent on
everybody
a loan.
would enjoy a 2.75 interest rate.
Absolutely, I would. Yeah. I don't have one.
Yeah, me neither, unfortunately. So what kind of makes you different in the real estate world, and why would a client, choose you over other realtors while they're interviewing?
I love to work. I really do. And the older I get, it seems like the less the world loves to work. Not maybe my generation.
Yeah.
And my dad's generation worked harder than we do.
For sure.
But the younger generation is a little different. To say the least.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing. I showed up at Keller Williams and they were all like, you got to lead generate. You got to lead generate 2 hours a day. You got to call this many people. And you got to keep track of all these calls. I was like, that's not hard, and then I would meet a lot of agents that would be like, oh, I'm like really scared to call people, and I'm like, why? I don't feel that way.
What's the worst they can do? Hang up.
Great.
Yeah.
I'll call somebody else.
Yep.
But so I did a lot of lead generating my first year.
Yeah.
I still do a lot of lead generating. I don't ever stop lead generating. I'm always thinking in that direction, but I'm also not thinking of everybody as a dollar sign above their head either.
For sure.
I think of like a way to people are going to move. Like whether like people are going to celebrate that they're going to get married, they're going to have kids, they're going to have job transfers. Negatively, people are going to die, people are going to get divorced. Kids are going to grow up and move out, and maybe that's positive or negative, but people are going to have to move.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like if I can make that process smoother, by my communication, because a lot of the thing I hear is like with agents that there's not a lot of communication.
Yeah.
So I try to give that communication,
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Sweet. Well, if people are looking for you, where can they find you at?
My number is 828-279-6450. I work at Keller Williams in Spartanburg.
Yep.
But I work all over the upstate.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I see them closing all the time.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah. I appreciate you, Chris.